I'm Fletcher Roden, and this is Tracking the Lone Wolf, based on my new book, Tracking the Lone Wolf: The Sigma at Work, at Home, and at Play. Today on Tracking the Lone Wolf, the Sigma. Tracking the Lone Wolf is a new twice-monthly show with lots of invaluable information for just about everyone. So I suggest that you like this video and subscribe to the channel. You can buy the book in paperback or Kindle or audiobook formats on Audible or other platforms. I'm a public speaker, and if you'd like to learn more about that, I welcome you to come visit the website, trackingthelonewolf.com. The Sigma. Well, as we've learned, the alpha and the beta were just insufficient designates for such a complex thing as the human psyche. We've learned about the omega and the gamma. They're the sort of the jokester and prankster personality types. We've taken a look at the delta, who is truly what we would have thought of as the beta, the subservient to the alpha. We've seen that the beta is a much stronger personality type than most people might have thought, and that the alpha is actually quite a bit more flawed. So let's take a look at the sigma. This personality type has everything that all the strengths that the other types have, and very few of the weaknesses. The sigma shares with the alpha the charisma and the gravitas, and the intelligence and the drive, but does not share the alpha's ambition or need to lead. The sigma, or lone wolf personality, is happy enough without the social construct of a following. The alpha needs to lead, the sigma does not. The sigma shares with the beta the intelligence and the drive and the humility and the contentedness with being unknown. The omega and the gamma share these qualities, but they lack the drive and the focus that the sigma has. The sigma is much more driven to productivity than either the omega or the gamma. Like the beta, even perhaps more so than the alpha. The sigma lacks the delta's concern with the way they are seen, the need for codependency, the desperation for a social construct. The sigma, the lone wolf, doesn't need to lead and doesn't need to be seen as a leader. The sigma doesn't really concern his or herself with how others see them because they're a lone wolf. They seek not to rely on others, as the alpha must, and as the beta must, and as the delta must. The sigma shares the intelligence of the alpha, though, and the beta. The sigma has a lot of strengths in common with the beta. For example, excellent listeners, supportive, nurturing, caring. The sigma is known to have an active social conscience, as the beta is, as the omega and gamma are not, as the omega is not, as the delta is not. The sigma is very loyal and protective, like the alpha, but the sigma is tightly connected to the past. It's all about the way a person processes their thoughts and feelings. If they process them outwardly or inwardly, whether or not the feelings are inward or the thoughts are inward, or one is outward or the other. They are not necessarily corollary. So the sigma is very complex, often misunderstood. A lot of sigmas are notable loners. It's the lone wolf personality type, so that only makes sense. Let's take a look at the sigma in the three theaters of life: the professional and the familial and the social. Keep in mind, by the way, that there are other theaters of life. The political and the military, for example, but we're not concerning ourselves with those. The show isn't concerned, and neither is the book. So, in the professional theater, at work, we're concerning ourselves with at work, at home, and at play. So, at work, the sigma, the sigma is a rare personality type. The estimates are that roughly 1% of the population is a sigma personality type. Roughly 1%. But the global workforce is 2.5 billion, which means there are 25 million sigmas in the global workforce alone. That's a lot of people. That's people that even if you're one of the 2.25 billion who are not sigmas, you still have to deal with sigmas. You still have to understand them. You network with them. You meet up with them. You do deals with them. You work alongside them. Sometimes you even work for them. The sigma is, unlike the alpha, not compelled to lead. So the sigma shares the humility of the beta, but is more driven than the omega and the gamma, and also does not share the outward ambitions of the delta. But the sigma will lead when necessary. The sigma is not as prone to personality disorders, sometimes abuse personality disorder. Because of their isolation, substance abuse can sometimes be a problem, sometimes depression, sometimes chronic anxiety, sometimes. The lone wolf is, at work, a very valuable player. May be misunderstood by the alpha boss, but there is no better confidant than the sigma in your workplace. The sigma is naturally perceptive and given to critical thinking, which is necessary in the workplace. If you're a manager and you're an alpha and you identify a sigma on your work team, consider that person to be a confidant, because they are not competitive. They will not be a threat to you. They will not gossip or rumor like the delta will, and they will give you an honest read, because sigmas are prone to being honest, because they do not crave the social acceptance that the alpha does or that the delta does. So they can be trusted. They're good sounding boards. They're active listeners, naturally good listeners. Because of their active social conscience, sigmas are prone toward conflict resolution, which is vital in the workplace, in any theater of life, really. Let's look at the familial theater of life, at home. Well, the sigma at home, because they are not prone to leadership, they are less likely to form families. Also because the sigma is rooted in the past, because of the way we process information and feelings, thoughts and feelings. We have trust issues, prone to trust issues, which means we are often alone. We're lone wolves. So, therefore, we often forego things of the sort like romantic relationships and marriages and families, where sigmas are more likely to be aunts and uncles. But they may be mistaken for alpha parents as omega or gamma influences, which can be corrosive to children, because you don't really want a Weisenheimer or a prankster being an influence on your kid. But if your aunt or uncle figure, in this case, is a sigma, that's something to be cherished, because the sigma is a resilient, independent character, and resilience and independence are qualities that are necessary. Now, sometimes people may think, well, I don't want my children being influenced by this single person because I want my children to be happily married, which is a perfectly reasonable thing for a parent to want. However, the reality is that the world just isn't that way. Some people just aren't married. Isn't it better to expose your child to a realistic worldview of a society where some people are married and some people aren't? Just a thought. In the realm of, now that doesn't mean that sigmas cannot lead or that they will not parent. There are sigma parents, but it's much rarer for this personality type. I believe they're more common in the step-parent role, as deltas are common in that role, because each are prone to serial romances, if they have any at all. In social circles, the sigma is very popular, gets along well with betas and omegas and gammas, may conflict with alphas, okay, hold on. In social circles, the sigma is often gregarious, but is rarely seeking the center of attention. This is not the person who grabs for every joke. This is not the person who needs the spotlight. This is a character who gets along well with betas and omegas and gammas, and they're very sociable personalities, all of them. There may be conflicts, again, with an alpha. The sigma and the alpha may naturally conflict. It's not necessary, but it may be natural. The sigma and the delta will almost always conflict, because the sigma is going to be intolerant of the delta. The sigma may be tolerant of the alpha. The alpha may be tolerant of the sigma, but the sigma and the delta will clash. But if you know someone, if you are a sigma in the social or familial or workplace theaters, and you may find yourself feeling isolated. You may find yourself being misunderstood. You may find that you are taken as a threat by the alphas, but you may also find yourself being considered intriguing and mysterious by the deltas and the omegas and the gammas. You will win their trust, but you will not win the trust of the alphas or the deltas. If you must interrelate with them, either in any of the three theaters, find a way to do it that does not violate your integrity. Because remember that the lone wolf is not alone. There are 25 million of us in the global workforce alone. And that's a rough estimate. There are other places outside of the workforce where you'll find 1% of the population is a sigma. And if you're not a sigma, then you're probably dealing with a sigma in one way or another. So this often misunderstood but highly valuable and resourceful personality type is not to be overlooked. That brings us to the end of our study of the sigma on today's Tracking the Lone Wolf. You can read more about it in the book, Tracking the Lone Wolf, the Sigma at Work, at Home, and at Play. It's available in paperback and for Kindle and in audiobook format at Audible or other platforms. Visit the website, trackingthelonewolf.com, for more information. I'm Fletcher Roden, and this has been Tracking the Lone Wolf. Tune in again.